Welcome to the 21st in a series of shows focused on Brookline as an age-friendly community. In 2012, the World Health Organization designated Brookline its first community in New England to be designated an age-friendly city. This was the result of the work of the Brookline residents, the Select Board, town departments, and a volunteer organization, the Brookline Community Aging Network, providing leadership. Today's guest is the newly elected state representative, Tommy Vitolo. Tommy has been a resident of Brookline since 2002. He was elected to the town meeting in 2007 and became constable in 2010. In November, he was elected as the state representative to the 15th Norfolk District. He replaced Frank Smisek, who was in that position for 18 years. Tommy grew up in Connecticut, attended high school at the Kent School, went to North Carolina State University as a Park Scholar, went to the Dublin City University as a Mitchell Scholar, and achieved his PhD in systems engineering at Boston University. Before getting into those activities and during his business life, he's been an energy consultant and an expert witness at Synapse Energy Economics. And prior to that was at MIT, Lincoln Labs. He's married to Jennifer Taranto, who's a civil engineer with national expertise in green building. He's been assigned, since he became representative, to 4 committees, one of which is the Elder Affairs Committee that he asked for and achieved and was assigned, the Community Development and Small Business Committee, the Tourism, Art, and Cultural Development Committee, and the Public Service Committee. Welcome, Tommy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Oh, I'm very glad to have you.
It was wonderful to hear about this great fellow and all of his history. I learned so much about a great guy.
And we agree.
Thank you.
So welcome to after 18 years, you're a fresh face.
That's right. That's right. And I do want to point out, Representative Smisek was fantastic. He did so many good things for our community and for the Commonwealth. Was really a champion on environmental and education issues. And I'm very grateful for his mentorship and showing me the ropes and showing me around the building a little bit. He's been really great to me.
So I'd like to get started with something that we care about on this program quite a bit, and that's older adults.
Sure.
So your work, I know some of the work you've done on behalf of older adults, and I've run into you in a lot of places and a lot of affairs that we've had. But tell us a little bit about what's been happening in your area and in the State House.
You bet. In fact, today I was at a briefing put together by AARP, by Tufts, and a few other organizations looking at transportation issues for older adults. And as you can imagine, the transportation issues in a place like North Brookline are even different than South Brookline. But imagine the more suburban and rural parts of the state where older adults traveling is really a challenge because they don't have options other than an automobile going to and from. And for those who are struggling to operate that vehicle anymore, avoiding isolation and still making sure that they're able to get their services is a challenge. Yeah, right. In North Brookline, we need to make sure that the MBTA and the RIDE and the elder bus service are all accessible so that for older folks and other folks for whom driving is not an option on that particular day or that particular moment, they can still get around and do all the things they need to do. So that was just today. There's always things going on. I filed a bill that I'm very excited about, HD 1741. Right. We're going to hit the submit button, I think, tomorrow and finalize the language. And it actually grew out of work that had been done in Brookline regarding the ability for folks to defer their property taxes. And so currently the law says if you're a senior and you make, your income is quite low, you may be able to defer paying your property taxes, but you have to have been a Massachusetts resident for 10 years, and you have to have lived in your home for 5 years, and there's this sort of string of requirements. And then, if you take advantage of this program, the moment that you no longer own the home, that interest rate goes up to 18%.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's really inappropriate. And I think that my optimistic view is when they passed the law, they didn't want to make it too good. They didn't want too many people to participate, so they sort of, put a bunch of barriers in. But it turns out that the barriers are too steep. There are very few people participating.
Right.
And in a place like Brookline and in so many communities in Massachusetts where the single significant asset that people own is their home. They don't have a lot of cash,
right.
but they've got this really valuable home. You got to live somewhere. You can't sell half your house. That's not a thing, right? And so the property tax deferral is a great way for some seniors to continue to enjoy their home for as long as it's right for them, which might be until the very end, or it might be until a few years from now when they move. And still meet their societal obligations to pay their taxes, but on a time frame that makes sense. And so the bill,
this is on a yearly basis.
yeah. So the bill that I filed says we're going to get rid of a bunch of those barriers. If you're my neighbor and you're an older adult who has low income,
Right.
I want you to be able to take advantage of this program. I don't care if you moved in last week.
Right.
You're my neighbor.
Right.
That's my metric.
Absolutely.
And as I think about my parents who are getting older, and I think about all of the things in their house, and that they, frankly, are just, they don't have their affairs in order. I know they don't. I encourage them, but it's hard. It takes a long time to clean up and then put a house on the market. So the idea that the interest rate goes up to 18% immediately is absurd. So under my bill, we're going to say you get a year.
Right.
And we're going to allow the communities to offer a slightly lower interest rate commensurate with their rate they pay for bonding, so that the city or town doesn't make any money or lose any money on the deal. They're held harmless. Right? The idea is we want to make sure that the communities can use this program to continue to pay the bills, and that the participants are being treated fairly, but that they have access to it.
Yeah, that's great. We had the tax assessor on, and we went through some of their frustration is exactly the things you're describing. That this is really worth doing, but there are things in the way that seems to stop people from coming in. So
And so
anything that can be done, and the things you describe are certainly things that are, they interfere with the transition, et cetera. So,
And this idea came out of the work being done at the local level in Brookline.
Yeah.
Folks at committees working on this very issue, filing warrant articles, and the message was loud and clear. It was a no-brainer.
all right. Well, if you get an opportunity to talk to a lot of older adults, you get a lot of ideas at Brookline.
Well, and I'm going to get the opportunity to hear from quite a few older adults because I'm on the Elder Affairs Committee.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, the speaker has to assign all of the different Democratic reps to all the different committees, and everybody wants the same ones, and it can be very challenging for him to find a mix that works. So I felt very fortunate. I asked for both Elder Affairs and Arts, Culture, Tourism.
Oh, great.
Two things that I felt were really important to our community, and two things where I have some passion and some excitement, but not a lot of knowledge, not a lot of experience. So I've got some learning to do,
Yeah,
and I look forward to that.
as far as I'm concerned, a fresh mind is what most of these things need. So
I think
that's
we'll
not gonna
benefit
hurt.
from both,
That won't hurt.
and so I look forward to working. The chair on the House side is Ruth Balzer from Newton,
Right.
And Representative Balzer is fantastic, really great on this issue, really great on a lot of issues, and so I'm looking forward to working as closely with her as I can on the Elder Affairs Committee. I think there's so many opportunities, and as you know, seniors are the most diverse demographic
Absolutely.
there is by far.
Absolutely.
And so it's not that seniors need this thing or the right thing for seniors is this thing over here. No. Right? It's our job to make sure that seniors have a wide variety of options and opportunities, and that they can take advantage of these options and opportunities, and let them do what works for them. And in different stages of their life as an older adult, they're going to want to need different things, and we want to be responsive to that.
Absolutely. And different people have different experiences in life and need different things as they go on and get older. And every one of those things, as far as I'm concerned, helps people of all ages.
That's right.
As far as I've run into day in and day out, the things I've done in town, I run into things that we've done or put in place that everybody says that's what we need.
That's right.
You know, automatic doors, the businesses that are more easier to get in and around,
Smooth sidewalks.
service in the smooth sidewalks.
Right. I
in
mean,
the
it's such
snow.
a simple thing, but
today.
it matters for everybody.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's right.
Yeah, that's great. And you've been involved with the senior center lately too. I
course.
noticed, I saw you down there. What's happening there? Are you going to be available?
So I'm glad you bring that up. On April 4th at 10 a.m., I will be having office hours at the senior center. And I'll have office hours in different locations over the weeks and months to come.
Right.
But the very first one we're doing is at the senior center. And it's April 4th, 10 a.m.
Okay. I'll be there.
I'll be there too. We'll make sure we've got some coffee and some snacks.
Right.
And, you know, office hours are a funny thing.
What is that?
Office hours, people come and they say, hey, here's what's on my mind. And it's
Right.
my job to really to listen. And you know, some people will come with a big idea. You know, the state should change the rule or change the way it spends money around this really big, important things.
Right.
And others say, you know, I'm having this problem in my building.
Right.
And both of those things are very welcome, right? The idea is to come in and share what's on your mind, and then, you know, some things we can't help too much with. You know, we're still at war in Afghanistan, and I don't have the ability as a state rep to do much to influence that. But there are other things where I do have more influence, and I'm delighted to use it to benefit residents of Brookline of all ages.
Yeah, I think hearing what you have to say about that. For instance, I can't do anything, or this is something I will try, or I will do this, is exactly what people are looking for. So,
and I bet
that's
a lot
good
of
to hear.
times the answer is, I don't have any idea. That's really interesting. I don't know. Let's go find out, right? And to be clear, you know, some people need constituent services, and maybe coming to a public space where there are other people around and talking about it is not the right thing for them.
Right.
So I'm always available in other ways. We can always schedule private meetings in Brookline or at the State House.
Oh, great.
My cell phone number is, write it down, 617-872-8921. 617.
And as usual, we will have it on the.
872-8921.
Everybody stay tuned at the end. because
Stay tuned at the
credits
end.
will be there.
Right, call me.
And your email. Yeah.
Call me.
It'll be
Send
there.
me an email. I love to hear from folks, and I love to hear
Great.
what people are thinking about, and I'll get back to you.
Okay, now I'm curious.
Yeah.
Okay. Passing legislation. I know next to nothing about the operation of the state legislature. What's it like?
I know a little bit more.
I'm sure.
I've been in office 9 weeks, so I know a little
So
bit
maybe
more.
you don't know anything about passing legislation yet.
Well, I passed a law already, so I know a little bit.
Okay.
We had, my office got an email from a supervisor at a state department, and one of her employees is very sick and had used up, she's almost 30-year employee, and she'd used up all of her sick time and all of her vacation time, and she needs another month or 2 or 3, and then she's going to be great. You know, she's going to make a recovery, she's going to be great, but she's out of time. And that's a problem.
Right.
And so what we were able to do was pass a law just for her, that says that her colleagues at the Department of Children and Families can donate their sick time, their vacation time to her if they want to, so that she can stay out a little bit longer, finish her recovery, and then come back to work. It doesn't affect the budget,
Right.
Doesn't affect policy, but it still requires an act of the legislature. And the problem, maybe it was especially
You know, is
challenging.
the expression act of Congress isn't something that can't be done?
Right. You know, it took an act of the legislature. But when we draft laws, they have to go through committees.
Okay.
We want bills to go through committees. We want people
Yeah, of course.
who have some expertise to take a look at it, hear some testimony. But the committees hadn't been formed yet. Nominally they were formed. The name of the committee existed, but it hadn't been staffed. There were no reps who had been assigned to it. And that meant we were going to have to wait for weeks. She doesn't have weeks.
Yeah, right. I
The
mean, it's
time's
like-
out now.
Right.
And so I worked with House leadership, with the Speaker's office, and I worked with the minority leader. And what we agreed to do was suspend Rule 12. So the House has these rules that define how the debate works and how a bill becomes a law. And it only affects us. It's the House members imposing rules on ourselves. And therefore, we have the ability to change them. And Rule 12 says bills got to go to committees, and the committee's got to think about it and report out, and there's a process. And we said, we don't want any of that process.
Right.
Because we need to get this done now. And it's a thing that does no harm to anybody's morals or priorities, but would really help a resident in Brookline. And so in 59 minutes on the floor of the House and the Senate, we simultaneously passed the bill, made it through 3 readings, passed it 3 times with bipartisan support, and sent it to the governor's desk. And a few days later, the governor signed it, and we got it done. And you know, it's not just about her. She has a husband.
Right.
She's a 10-year-old son in public schools. She has neighbors, right? And so even when we help just one person, it's never really only helping one person. And I was very proud to get it done, and it felt really good.
Great.
It felt really good.
I hope you feel that good for many other bills.
Well, and in fact, one of my mentors said, "Oh, it's noon. You passed the law. You can go home for the day. You did your job." I said, "No, I still got some things I want to get done."
That's good. Well, I guess that is your job, passing
Yeah,
bills.
it's part of it.
So how does, what about the State House itself? What's that like? I mean, I've seen it from the outside only.
It's a busy.
Do you have an
building.
office or?
Sort of.
What do you mean, sort of?
Well, you know, there are 25 new representatives
Right.
in the House, and that means that there are 25 people, one being Representative Smizik, who used to come to work every day and now aren't. So there's 25 empty offices. But those offices are often really nice offices for the State House, which isn't, you know, really nice, but it's okay.
Right.
Not the little broom closets.
Right.
So they don't say, freshmen, you get the nice offices. That's not how it works, right? So what will happen is, you know, the more senior folks will do a little shuffling.
Okay.
Right. So the chair of Ways and Means, Aaron Mikowicz, the new chair of Ways and Means, he moved to the chair of Ways and Means office, right?
Right.
And now that he left behind a different office. And then someone else will say, oh, I want that office.
Yeah.
And so they juggle around, and by the end, when the dust settles, there's 25 empty broom closets somewhere. And I don't know, they pull ping pong balls and assign them to us. So probably next month,
Great.
I'll get an office. Right now, we're meeting at a conference room, and so there's 12 representatives and 12 legislative aides and a few other staff members all in this big room. And
Well, that's
it's a bit chaotic,
Yeah.
but it can be a lot of fun, and you hear the news a little faster, right? Because you're not cornered up in a little office, but you're with more people.
And
so
without
there's some
social
items
media,
there.
you're able to do it right, face to face.
And there's always more things happening in the building than you can do.
Okay.
Right? And so I think my calendar today has 23 items on it.
So what are you going a few days a week, a couple of days? or
I'm
something?
there 4 days a week. Yeah.
4 days a week.
4 days a week. And it's not like I'm sleeping the 5th day. It's that there's enough work to do talking to constituents directly, meeting with town staff, meeting with constituents in
Right.
Brookline. So I don't go to the State House
Right.
on Fridays, but I'm busy working on all sorts of issues. And then sometimes we need time to draft a bill or
Sure.
draft a letter, think about things. And it's hard to carve out that time, but it's really important to carve out some quiet time and make sure we're not forgetting about the big things because we're so worried on the minute by minute. We've got some big issues coming down the pipe, and we got to work on them. We need some leadership.
You want to tell us one?
Well, so when I ran on social and economic justice, public
Absolutely.
education, and the environment. That first one's really big, right? The social and economic justice.
Certainly isn't Brookline. Right?
Oh yeah, and it's important to folks with lots of different needs and lots of different missed opportunities because something's blocking what should be a way for them to grow and contribute even more. And so we're always looking about that. And then public education for me is really important.
Right.
K through 12, but also pre-K and universities. Last night I was at the sort of the University of Massachusetts State of the State University event and learning about what they've got coming up. And the UMass system is so important
Very.
to our economic well-being, to making sure that middle-class kids and working-class kids have an opportunity to move up. We got to support our state universities, and the fact of the matter is New England states historically haven't done enough. And sometimes we look down our nose in the Southeast or the Midwest, but those regions do a much better job supporting public higher ed than New England does.
Yeah, I think that's true.
So there's an opportunity.
I mean,
there.
I was in Virginia for many years.
Yeah.
Exceptional.
Oh yeah, UVA and Virginia Tech are both great schools.
Yeah.
And then on environmental issues, the climate challenges are real, and the science is real,
Right.
and we need to make really, really fundamental changes. Those are hard, and it's hard to say you're going to change, but I'm not.
Yeah.
But we got to go together.
Right.
We got to hold our hands and jump.
Community is a key. I mean, it's not recognizing that, and we see that from both this program and the stuff we do, is that energizing community is a big thing.
That's right.
And so the time spent here, for instance, didn't you do something with the Youth Pass on the?
I did.
MBTA?
And the Youth Pass,
that was
I love
Toulouse local. But
I love the story of the Youth Pass. So the Youth Pass is a program for young people to get discounted T-passes.
Right.
Now, if you are going to to middle school or high school, you're already eligible. So it's not for kids like that. It's for kids who are doing something that's less traditional, but still valuable. And I was knocking on doors at Village Way, and a young man, I guess he was probably 21. He's now 22. Said, "Hey, I want to get a youth pass, but I live in Brookline and I can't. I go to Bunker Hill Community College 3-4 days a week, and the cost of the T-fare is high for me. This is a young man who's living in subsidized housing. He's trying to make it work." And he said, and Boston participates in Cambridge, which Brookline doesn't. So I said, that does stink. Let me look into that.
That's weird.
And I asked around, and it turned out that it's a program that the MBTA rolled out, but communities had to opt in. And just Brookline hadn't gotten to it.
yeah.
There's a million things, and this was
But in the
one
meantime, there are people not getting it.
It
right?
didn't have a champion. And so I called town staff, and I called the transportation board, and I said, "Hey, could we do this?"
Yep.
I didn't make a big stink out of it. I just,
No, I understand.
And they said, "Yeah, let's do this."
Raise the.
Right. And so we figured out that it's no big deal. And so Todd Corain from the Transportation Department brought it to the Select Board and said, "Can we do this thing?" And the Select Board said, "Well, why aren't we doing it already?" And I said, "I'm asking you the same question."
Right.
So the Select Board unanimously was supportive, and now we're rolling it out as we speak, and it will allow young people who are eligible to get discounted, severely discounted, substantially discounted MBTA passes, and that's really important. These are folks who are pursuing GED or job training or community college and trying to make a better life for themselves. Let's give them a little support.
Give them a little support, a little help. Absolutely.
It's sort of similar to the senior pass. Now the senior pass,
Right.
it turns out if you want to get a senior pass, there's a few different ways to do it. One is to go downtown.
Okay.
And then I understand the senior center a few times a year will sort of get the machine and everybody comes to the senior center and can re-up
Oh,
their
really?
senior pass.
I didn't know that.
But it's only available a couple of times a year.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I'm beginning to look into, I don't know if it's going to work or not.
Right.
Fortunately, Brookline isn't too far from downtown. But, the commuter rail system is big. And imagine if you lived in Scituate.
Right.
Would you want to come down to Boston just to get you, right? So it would be nice if we could take this idea of the youth pass where the community distributes the passes and handles the paperwork and extend
Oh, that's how it works
and-
with youth pass.
Yeah,
Okay.
and extend it to
senior.
the senior pass, to there's a pass for those who are visually disabled,
Right,
so that folks don't have to go downtown to do it. That's convenient for some.
Yeah.
But for others, that's a real unnecessary burden. And and I like to try to find places where, for whatever reason, these are the rules, and they're okay, they're not terrible, but they're unnecessarily burdensome for folks. And if we can just tweak it a little bit and make things better for some folks, it's worth doing.
Yeah, I really like the idea that you're concerned with older adults, not just here, but throughout the state. I'm concerned, we are way ahead, right? We're way ahead of a lot of the communities in Massachusetts on age-friendly, an age-friendly city. I mean, Brookline is an age-friendly community. But it seems to me that that's something that should be spread throughout the state.
You bet.
And I would really like to see, you're on Elder Affairs, and I would, but I speak for others. So.
Right, and it's projected that I think it's in 20 years, within 20 years, the vast majority of the 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts will have over 30% of their residents aged 60 and up.
Wow.
Right, the vast majority.
Right.
And again, the needs and interests of seniors is very diverse. And not
Well,
every
it's both
community.
ways. The energy is there
You bet.
to contribute.
You bet.
And I think opportunities to contribute and methods would really be helpful too. So it's not just helping seniors; it's bringing them together, or it's making identifying reasons for them to work on things for the purposes for them to work for, because they want to.
Well, and with so many experiences, professional and otherwise, drawing from
Absolutely.
that talent and putting it to work, it's definitely worth doing. And it turns out some seniors, you may not know this, some seniors don't work for a living anymore.
Really?
They got a few hours on their hand, and they
Really?
want to contribute. They want to do.
Maybe they could do a
interesting
TV show. You never know.
things. Stranger things have been done.
So yeah, that's there really is. There's both energy, there's time, there's energy, there's interest, and different interests. There's
Right.
a big spread. So
Right.
I'm
And
just
all
trying.
of that
I'm just trying to
experience.
prepare you for your elder
I love it. I'm ready. I'm ready. I can't wait.
Okay. So anything else that you want to make sure we get out before we complete this show?
But I want to again
You
remind
can
folks.
come back. I mean, it's not.
I look
yeah.
forward to it. I want to remind folks, April 4th, 10 a.m. at the Senior Center, right? I want to
And
hear
how
from
long will that
folks.
be?
Until people stop coming. Well, as long as the Senior Center will have me. They might kick me out.
We had the police chief on the show before, and not long after that, he had cops and a coffee, which
love
is
it.
the Starbucks. And I think the senior center is a good place to have representative, and they have coffee there.
Yeah, I know they do. I'll bring some donuts.
But I look forward to that. I really, I'd love to see that.
Well, I'll see you there.
Great. So I think we're getting towards our end. Social media.
Oh, yeah.
That's my other activity, right?
I know
for
it.
Brookline Can. And I've noticed you on there. How does that operate? How do you deal with that?
Social media, it moves quickly, right? It's not this sort of standard, we're gonna write a letter and we're gonna send it out and hope the newspapers pick it up 2 days from now or a week from now, right? It moves quickly. And so that means that sometimes we don't get it right.
Right.
I write THABK all the time instead of THANK. I don't know why. I just can't seem to get my thumbs to do the right thing. And it allows me to communicate, because I'm communicating more frequently.
Right.
Things don't have to be as important. We can talk about all the things we're doing, and they might not be interesting to everybody, and they might not be the most meaningful thing that we do that day. But it allows me to communicate more quickly. And so I use Twitter a lot, but I also put out an email newsletter.
Yeah, but your stuff is reasonable, it's intelligent.
Thank
and,
you.
And it's reasonable. I mean, you don't seem to reach out into left field.
I try to keep it, productive.
We'll see if it stays that way when you get anxious as you go on. But right now, it's good. I follow you, and I think
Thank you.
You're doing a good job so far on that. You really you got a good start.
Thank you. And then we send out an email less frequently, every week or two.
Right. Yeah.
A little bit longer. We sent one out today.
Yep. I saw it.
We've got an event coming up on April 23rd, and if you want to learn more about that, go to the website.
Okay.
That's a social event. We'll have a little fundraiser. But most of that is about what's happening, news and events, and what's happening in the State House, and we focus on
Well,
that.
that's all right. We'll keep watching. Well, I want to thank you.
Thanks so much.
This is really great. I wish we could go on and on, but we're reaching the end. But thank you for coming here, and I wish you many, many years as a representative, and many productive years.
Thank
because
you.
it'll be valuable to us.
Well, I love the job, and I love working on everyone's behalf.
Well, thank you for watching. The show will be shown again. Will be shown a number of times in the next few weeks whenever Big gets the opportunity. And will also be available on the website for Brookline Community Aging Network, and of course on the Twitter and Facebook accounts. Thank you.